Welcome, I'm Suzanne Morgan. I'm super excited about this video today. This video is going to illustrate how everybody's body is different. The shape of our bones are so unique to our individual selves. If you would look at one of those plastic skeletons that you see, you'd say, oh, that's what I look like. Not necessarily, or not exactly, I should say. The way that your legs fit into the hip sockets is going to be very different than someone else. The shape of your arm and how much they turn out is going to be different. How much mobility that you have in the backs of your knees, as you're going to see with some of the pictures coming up, will be very different. And so if you're a teacher, hopefully this will give you some ideas on what to look for as you look for your students. And if you're a student, then hopefully this will encourage you to not be so closely tied to what pictures of models in the yoga magazines look like, or other students in the class, or even the teacher, because we all have our unique shape to the body. And the way that our body is shaped informs all of the poses. So the real lesson here is to be able to feel your yoga, is to really take ideas and suggestions and to look at pictures, but to internalize that and really see how does it feel best for your body. One of the things that informs my practice a lot is where I feel the most prana or breath in the body, just by making subtle changes to the poses. So I'm going to show you a couple issues that are very unique to my body. These aren't necessarily good or bad, but they do inform my practice. So when you are watching me in any of these yoga videos, if you look really carefully, one thing that you might see is the tipping of my right shoulder. So I have a pretty significant curve in my spine due to scoliosis, and that informs everything about my poses. So if I turn my body to the right side so that you're seeing my right shoulder, if one were a newer teacher, or even a different style of teacher, you might try to force that shoulder back and down. There's always a balance between making adjustments with the body, and so in a lot of the poses we do want that shoulder blade to slide down the back. But if you are creating tension or force, that's not good. So you never want to create that aggravation or tension or force. So it's a nice balance. And learning your own body, one of the things that I would recommend is to get a video camera like this. I simply use my iPad and take pictures of yourself. You can just watch. So a lot of times I'll see students, hello Miss Olivia, and I ask them to come to a seated position and ask them to have the chin at a level position. So there's students that have the chin here, and for them it feels like a level position. That's where a camera or a mirror can be so instructive, is to learn what is so unique and wondrous about your own body. Let me show you something with my shoulders that you can be aware of as you watch my poses, and if you're a teacher, watching other students. So this right shoulder, this whole shoulder girdle pulls forward due to my scoliosis, and so I try to find a balance between releasing that shoulder back and down, as I do a lot of my poses. But you can see, if you look carefully, looking at where, even as I'm rolling the shoulder back and down, if you look carefully at the placement of the shoulder compared to my ear, you're going to see a big difference from the right side to the left side. And so you could say that this left shoulder is more in typical alignment or good alignment. But again, it's never forcing yourself or forcing one of your students to come into a position that may, again, cause tension. So finding that balance and really being able to look. But for me, it's being able to feel it from the inside. That's what we try to do, is we try to let that information from the inside inform us about our practice. The next thing that's rather unique about my body is the hypermobility that I have in the backs of my knees. And again, a teacher could look at that mobility in the backs of the knees and see it as overstretching the backs of the knees. And certainly I do see students that overstretch the backs of the knees or push out too much for the backs of the knees. But some of this is, for me at least, this is based on my body shape, is that I just have all this mobility. So for me to get the full extension of the pose, I need to be able to release the backs of my knees without causing overstretching. Can I sometimes overstretch the backs of my knees? Is that possible for me to do with that hypermobility? Absolutely. So again, it's something to be aware of and to find a balance with. So take a look at the position of the backs of my knees in down dog. Okay, so you can see it here. You can see the backs of the knees have a lot of mobility here. And that's just something that's very unique to my body. I'm just standing fairly naturally here. I'm not trying to do any type of yoga pose. I'm just relaxing my arms down. And if you notice, if you would look, you can even look at the negative space in between the arms, you can see how my forearms really turn out. And so my elbows almost face the camera directly. You can look at yourself in the mirror and see what's so unique about your arms. Perhaps the insides of the elbows turn in. Perhaps the forearms turn in. Perhaps you have a natural bend in the shape of the elbow. So all of this, the shape of the bones, this is simply the shape of my bones. This is my starting position, is going to inform a lot of different things about my body and the impact that it has on my elbows, the impact it has on my wrists, the impact it has on my shoulders. This, again, is not good or bad. This is simply my starting place. So some poses, for me, because of the natural shape of my body, are going to be easier and some are going to be more difficult. That's what you need to consider. That's why we can't get too attached to certain poses. Some poses just naturally aren't the best poses for our body based on the structure of our bones. I hope that you found this video helpful and interesting. I'd love to hear your feedback, both from yoga teachers as well as yoga students. Enjoy your day. Namaste.